Back to another Access 72 video, and in today's video I'm back with another interview. I'm here with Franklin Ignatius. Franklin, how are we doing, mate?
I'm good, mate, thanks.
Good to hear. Alright, so
What's happening?
what's happening, man? And so am I right in saying you're a 28-year-old heavyweight who's 6-0-1?
Yes, that's right.
Yes, brilliant. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the question which I always like to start off with. Why did you start boxing?
Cool. Why did I start boxing? I started boxing. Basically, they used to have like a social thing in my area called Box Up Crime.
Mm-hmm.
And I basically just started as a reason to get fit. The boxing classes were free. Found out I had a bit of power and I liked the sport. And things kind of rolled from there.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. And so do you remember what happened in your first amateur fight?
Yeah, I won. The story would have probably ended if I didn't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I won. Yeah, I remember.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember much of it, but I just remember, I think it was a third round or something.
Mm-hmm.
He was taller than me.
Mm-hmm.
I caught him with a big right hand.
Mm-hmm.
I think he had a little wobble, and I remember the ref raising my hand at the end of it.
Amazing. Good,
Yeah.
Good start. And so what would you say was your biggest achievement from the amateurs?
Probably winning the Haringey Box Cup and the London Intermediate Championship.
Mm-hmm.
Like I won both that same year in 2018, and they'll probably be kind of my biggest achievement, especially the Haringeys, because with the Haringeys you got to fight 3 times in a weekend, and I think I fought twice that weekend, and I won all my fights. So yeah, as an amateur, that was probably my biggest achievement.
Yeah, that's a huge achievement. It's such a big tournament that, and do you feel like that tournament, now that it's kind of live on DAZN and everything like that, that's certainly going to be a positive thing?
Yeah, man, I think it's good because I remember with mine, back when I was competing at Ali Pali, like it was such a massive thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got boxers coming in from all over Europe and whatever to compete, but there wasn't really any televised thing about it. It was just that if you're in the boxing world, you knew what their tournament was. It was the biggest thing you could compete of outside of the ABAs.
Mm-hmm.
But there was no like televised coverage the way there was at the ABAs. The ABAs, you got BBC following it, and past that, you get like the Olympics. All of that is on BBC and nationally syndicated. But the Haringeys never was,
mm-hmm.
At least not to my knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that it's on DAZN now, I think kind of raises its profile even more, and that's a good thing for a lot of amateurs coming through.
Of course, yes. And so for yourself, how many amateur fights did you end up having?
I had 20.
20, okay. And so why did you turn professional when you did?
I felt like it was just the right time.
Mm-hmm.
It was the same year my mum passed. Financially, I feel like it just made sense.
Mm-hmm.
And after like having to deal with all that, I just felt like I wasn't in a place where amateur boxing made sense for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just couldn't. The mental, because boxing is a mental thing. Like if you've done boxing yourself, you understand what I mean. Like how hard the sport is, you have to be mentally kind of G yourself up to do the work. And I just couldn't get myself up mentally to go to the amateur gym for amateur fights anymore. And it wasn't that I was physically ready, because I knew I still had a lot to learn about boxing and things like that. But I just figured I'll do the learning on the job. But mentally, that year I kind of checked out from amateur boxing. That if I didn't go pro, I wasn't going to continue boxing. That would have been it for me.
Okay. And I suppose from what you said there, do you feel, and is boxing a good outlet for you to kind of maybe get away from any of life's problems and just have a sole focus with boxing?
Maybe when I was an amateur. When I was an amateur, I used to, I had I was a privateer, I used to work as a security guard, I had all these other jobs. So doing amateur boxing definitely was my outlet. As a professional, this is my job. It's not the same. I still love boxing, and I still get a lot of satisfaction being around like the amateur gym being around the amateurs at the gym I train at and giving them advice and helping them out and things like that. But ultimately, this is a profession. I'm trying to make money. I'm trying to pay my bills. I'm trying to win fights and win titles and get myself and my family ahead. So it's a very different mindset than when you was an amateur. But I feel like it suits me down to the ground. I feel like I've got to a stage, like I said before, where if I wasn't boxing for a reason beyond just beyond just personal satisfaction, it didn't make sense to continue. There were too many real life issues that needed to be dealt with, and that required a serious approach.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So yeah, that's just what it was for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes complete sense. And I mean, so far, of course, you're doing very well in your career. Of course, unbeaten so far. And out of these 6 wins you've had, which one would you say you've performed your best in?
Probably the Hosea rematch. I feel like I didn't have any injuries or such. I didn't really have any. I was just in my best state, really. I feel like the first fight and even Robinson fight, I was kind of going in there dealing with whatever issues I was dealing with, just going in there to win.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Going in there to do the job I needed to do and come back home, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And the Robinson fight, ironically, I think was the most notable because of, you know, he was on a knockout streak. He knocked out his previous opponent before me. So it was probably more notable than the Hosea win. But the Hosea win was the one that, the rematch was the one that kind of put me up there in terms of a level, and the fight was the one I took the most of in terms of my performance. But like I said, the Robinson fight meant a lot as well, and I'm pretty sure it was a standout win, like 7-1 or something like that. So it was a good win. But the best one I felt about physically performance, I was definitely say, and I just thought Hosea was the better boxer as well. Was a former GB champion himself. You know, he was a noted amateur and he was a touted prospect. So that win meant more for me personally, from an individual perspective.
And I suppose, due to the fact you did draw the first fight, did that second fight, going into it, you were maybe a bit more G'd up for it and like a bit more ready to kind of try and take it?
1,000,000%, man. I had a point to prove.
Yeah.
I had a point to prove. He probably felt like he had a point to prove.
Yeah.
And those make the best fights. You train harder, you focus harder, you kind of go in there, like I said, with almost like I said, with like a chip on your shoulder and something to prove, and that always makes for a good fight. You know what I mean? Whereas Robinson was, for me, business as usual. I didn't really give a shit about him on a personal level. Not that I hate him or nothing, but I just didn't know him enough to care either way. And it was just the fact that made sense at the stage of my career I was at. And I'm sure for him it made sense at the stage of the career he was at. Had he beaten me, I'm sure he would have pushed on to bigger and better things. You know what I mean? The win, God willing, happened to be me, so I'm going to push on to bigger and better things.
Of course. And I mean, with your career so far, you've been in some and fought some tough guys, and you see a lot of fighters kind of starting and not having these early tests. I mean, you fought 2 debutants early on in your career as well. You weren't just fighting journeymen. And do you always want these tough tests?
I mean, it wasn't that I was seeking out the tough tests. I'm sure everyone would love to have a journeyman that lies down for 10 fights. It would be amazing. But the reality of boxing don't work that way. You have to work with the cards you're dealt and the situation you're in. And for me personally, the fights I was in was what made sense at each stage of my career based on opportunities that were offered. And I feel like at every stage of my career, I always tried to basically do what I needed to do to win. Do you know what I mean? Whoever that was that happened to be against me, but the opponents were literally just how the class felt.
Of course. And I mean, for yourself at the moment, mentally, what is your main motivation for boxing?
Good question. My main motivation for boxing will probably be winning. I like winning. I love winning. Making a boatload of cash. I like making dough. It's a good feeling. Proving my mum right, I guess, as well, because she made a big thing about, me being world champion and me winning fights and me becoming a great fighter. And I think that's probably a big motivation of why I'm still carrying on. And yeah, man, these are probably my key motivations for why I do what I do today.
That's brilliant. And so I know you've only recently fought last time out, but do you have a possible month when you'd be like to be getting back into the ring?
Not sure yet. It really depends on what opportunities are out there. But at the minute, my promoters, Wasserman, we've been speaking with them. There might be a potential date, maybe November, December. We don't know yet. Maybe earlier. But as soon as something is confirmed, I'll be more than happy to obviously let the people know and basically get back to work. And I want to get back to work. So as soon as I can and I'm able, I'll definitely will.
Of course, and with the heavyweight division at the moment, you see a lot of promoters struggling to make fights, but with Wasserman, they seem to have a good relationship with everybody, and so do you feel like with them it's the best promotion to be with?
I mean, they've looked after me. Can't complain. I don't know about the best promotion, but I feel like everyone has a very bias. Someone will say, "Oh, this is the best promotion. That's the best promotion." So I'm not gonna sit here and be pinging and ponging about which is the best or the worst. But I can say that the last few fights, they've looked after me. They've given me the right opportunities to progress my career. You know, they've kept me as active as they could, and I'm very grateful. You know, very grateful for the opportunity that they've given me, and I plan to continue delivering.
Brilliant. And I mean, you've got a couple big fights around you in the division, of course, the likes of Johnny Fisher, Jamie, TKV. They're both quite big fights. Are they ones that you're possibly looking towards? I mean, Central Area title is with Johnny Fisher at the moment.
I mean, Southern Area titles with him, yeah, but at the end of the day, there's I don't have any specific target. You know, I remember the English titles. I think someone has got that as well. There's all these good fights around me. It really just depends what's available for me when opportunities present itself. But at the end of the day, you know, I will take the opportunities when they come.
Okay, and I mean, for anybody who's maybe not watched you fight before, what would you say makes yourself interesting as a fighter?
I carry good power. I have a good counter-punching style. I feel like I'm athletic and mobile. I have a good jab. At my best, I have a heavy ramrod jab. I think that a lot of boxing fans appreciate it. And I'm always in good fights. Do you know what I mean? Against good opposition, against entertaining fights. And even with the press build-up and stuff like that, I'm just an entertaining guy to watch. And I think that's definitely been my strength. And anyone who hasn't seen me box should definitely tune into the next one. You're not going to want to miss it.
Of course. And is it important for the fans that are coming out for you to put on these entertaining shows?
Yeah, of course, because at the end of the day, I believe in delivering value for money. People, you know, especially in these hard financial times, people save up money, people, you know, pay good money to buy their tickets, to support at home, watching on the TV and whatnot. And at the end of the day, it's our job as fighters to deliver the value for money for the paying customer. Especially, like I said, especially because of how hard it is these days. So I always appreciate people that come out to support, and I try my best to deliver.
Amazing. And for your kind of future ambitions, I'm sure you're not going to overlook anything at the moment, but how far do you believe you can go?
I think I can go all the way. I feel like I've sparred everybody. I've sparred from Hergovic to George Joyce to Dubois to Chisora. I feel like I've been in the ring with a lot of good fighters, and I've kind of seen what I'm capable of, and I'm very confident. But obviously, I also know sparring, and fights are fights, and I have to focus on winning every fight, especially at this stage of my career, winning every single fight and progressing forward. So I don't overlook anyone, like you said, and I very much focus on one step at a time.
Brilliant. And I mean, I've got a couple topics here just to kind of around the heavyweight division at the moment, which I wanted to get your thoughts on. First one being Usyk versus Dubois, controversial to some win for Usyk. Do you think that was a shot, a low blow, as they're calling it?
To be honest, I don't think everyone's making such a big bloody deal about it, man. Listen, Usyk done what he needed to do. At the end of the day, yeah, he got hit on the belt line, no doubt about it. But at the same time, Usyk wears his groin guard quite low. He wears it around the navel area. Now, whether that's due to the rumours of a previous hernia operation or not, I can't say. Maybe, because I've heard if you've had a hernia operation, that area is still sensitive. But I do know that, like I said, he wears it quite low. He wears it technically where you're supposed to wear it, below the navel, around the belt line. So knowing that, the referee will always tell you at the start of a fight, punches up off the belt line. For that reason. You know what I mean? If you wear it where you're supposed to wear it, then it's always punches above the belt line. The referee makes an exception if you wear your groin guard high. Then he will tell you, because you're wearing it high, punches on the belt line are allowed. Dubois, for example, in that fight, ironically enough, wore his groin guard high. most people wear the Grengar heart. Flipping Tyson Fury wears it up to his damn their nipples. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Everyone's trying to protect the rib as much as they can. It's fucking professional boxing, for God's sake. Like, it's the hurt business, you know what I mean? Yeah. Man, I try to protect the rib and protect the fucking spleen and liver. So when everyone's pulling it as high as they can, it's a protective measure, not because we're supposed to. So that's just that simple. People pull it as high as they can get away with. The fact that Usyk does not do that could be for a myriad of reasons. Fucking amateur background, he's not used to doing it. Like I said, potential rumours of a previous hernia or whatever. But at the end of the day, he doesn't pull it that high. So for him, fighting him, hitting the belt line is a low blow. Pure and simple. Now, did he milk it? He fucking milked it. Man was on the floor rolling around like Bambi. Of course he milked it. Everyone could see him milked it. But again, I would just call it boxing tactics. Do you know what I mean? He ain't the first to milk them type of things. Hopkins used to do it notoriously. You know what I mean? He ain't going to be the first. He ain't going to be the fucking last. This is boxing, man. Like, I feel like people forget professional boxing is not a game. It's not we play a good game, we shake hands and win or lose, our life continues the same. No, it doesn't. You lose in boxing, you lose a lot of things. Not just the loss. Money, prospects, opportunities, your mortgage might not get paid the same. A lot of things will disappear because of a loss. So when you enter that ring, it ain't just, oh yeah, I'm boxing. It's, you're fighting for your life. Like quite literally, you're actually fighting for the quality of your life right there. A win and a loss dictate the quality of your next few years. So I am completely unsurprised at Usyk's tactics. I'm completely unsurprised that anyone does it. Fucking hell. Holyfield used to go in with his bloody head. You go into a clinch with Holyfield, he's leading head first. That's fucking illegal. Tyson bit his ear off because he was fucking getting headbutted all the time. But guess what? It's fighting. You know what I'm saying? Shit happens. So, part of my language. So, obviously, Usyk was just fighting. He was fighting for his life. So, he's going to do what he can. He sees, fucking hell, I got hit low. Maybe was in a bit of agony or whatever. And he thought, fucking hell, this is it. I can get a good, nice breath, nice breather. And man's rolling on the floor like he got chopped. He didn't get chopped that hard. Yeah, it was a fucking hard punch. But if it was a 10 count, I guarantee you would have got up. If the referee had ruled it a 10 count and said it was allowed, he would have fucking forced himself to get up. But the referee did not do that. The referee looked at it as a low blow, so he milked the opportunity, rested as much as he could. Fucking, I think he took, 3 minutes off? It wasn't even a grind blow, but he took the full duration, rested at every opportunity, and then got himself back in. And the only problem with the fight is, Dubois did not make it an account of himself where you could say that, oh, okay, there's a case for a rematch or whatever, because he was so comprehensively outboxed. Outside of that controversial moment, he didn't have a single other moment in the fight. You know what I mean? Where he gave a good fight, made it hard for Usyk, but Usyk won, man. Pretty much every round. There wasn't really a contentious ruling. So I'm sorry for him, obviously, that the chips fell that way. But I would just say it's boxing. If it had happened to me, would I have played the same way? Fuck, of course I would have. Like I said, your life is on the fucking line. You will grab at every straw, at every opportunity to win. If that was the only opportunity to win, you'll be crying wolf till the cows come home. So you can't be surprised that Dubois screaming up the Instagram to the next day. Like, Dubois wore his shorts high on the belt line, as most fighters do, including myself. And he basically wore it how if Usyk had been wearing it like that and got hit on that split on the belt line, it wouldn't have been a low blow. Do you see what I mean? My point. So, like I said, those type of tactics, being a grey area in boxing, are very much used and utilised all the time. Forearm being shoved in necks, headbutts in the clinches, you know what I mean? Cheeky blow to the hip when the ref's not looking. All them things there. Like I said, people are fighting for their lives here, man. But Usyk did what a veteran does. Calls attention to the stuff that he to make sure that you get pointed out. Fucking rolls on the floor as much as he can, recovers himself, you know what I mean, and gets back into the game and gets back into the business. Like I said, I feel like when you go into that ring, you leave ego and pride aside. What you're here to do is win, and you win at all costs. Do you know what I'm saying? For the reasons I stated earlier. So, yeah, man, I just saw it as the pure consequence in boxing. But saying that, I don't be fooled. If I was Dubois, I'm screaming the same way he's screaming. Yeah, straight.
Yeah.
You know, because that was my opportunity that got ripped away. My chance to be world champion that got ripped away by one guy's cunning tactics. Because that fight could have been completely different. Had he had a 10 count, I don't doubt he would have got back up, because at the end of the day, you're fighting for your life. You recover from crazy shit.
Yeah.
But he would have got back up in a vulnerable state. You know what I mean? He would have got back up with that injury still playing on him. Still leaving him susceptible to getting knocked out or hit hurt some more. And Dubois tried to jump on him. But with 3 minutes of a break, the injury is gone. You remember, we're talking about an extremely fit athlete. It don't take more than fucking a minute to fully recuperate, or 2. So he would have been fully recovered by the time the 3 minutes had elapsed. The momentum of the fight is completely gone. Dubois now has to G himself back into a comeback. And basically the moment disappeared. You know, so had it been a 10-second count, we'd be maybe talking about a new world champion today. But it wasn't, and it isn't, so it is what it is.
Of course. And moving on to the next topic, being Clarke versus Allen this week. What's your prediction for that?
It's a Clarke win, and it's a pointless fucking fight. Allen is here to grab though. Really, truly, my man should have stayed retired. Fight don't even fucking make sense. I'm so sorry. Like, I'm a professional fighter myself. Don't get me wrong. If they offer me Allen, I'll fucking fight him too. But man's a goddamn pensioner. So stay retired, man. What the fuck? Like, you had your time in the sun. You fought the Luis Ortiz, fought the fucking big fights, fought the Dylan Whites. You had your time in the sun. Your time is done. You know what I mean? I've heard rumors of him getting hurt in sparring, whatever. It's done, man. The body's given up. You're finished. So you coming back, what are you proving exactly? Clarke is not a young prospect, but a prospect. He's not young because he's fucking in his 30s, but he's a prospect. He's a prospect coming through, still trying to get his time in the sun. And you've had your time and done. So really and truly, you're just there as a name on his record. And you probably know that yourself. You know you don't realistically have a chance of beating him. But guess what? They're about to pay you good money. So you're going to go and take a pace thing, grab the dough and go heal yourself. It's pointless. It's absolutely pointless fight. But boxing being boxing, it will happen because everyone involved gets paid.
Okay, and moving on to just the other day, we saw Robert Elenius also have a positive drug test as well as Dillian White. What was your opinions on that?
Look, that one there. Obviously, Eddie will be getting in the neck, innit? Second fight you pulled in. We might as well let Dylan fight. Look at what was the point? He still fucking got knocked out anyway. So Eddie's getting the neck. But you could argue the fact so many fighters are getting pulled up shows how rigorous their testing is. Whether that's a good thing or bad thing, I leave it to the viewer to decide. But that's just the fact of the matter. At the end of the day, it's more like a talking point than anything, because he still got knocked out. He still lost the fight. So really and truly, it didn't really make much of a difference. But for Helenius, you could argue all sorts, where it came from, how did it come into the system, God knows. But it happened, and life goes on.
Do you think it's a bad thing that we're finding out, as well as the Alicia Baumgartner one, we found out 2 weeks after the fight had already happened?
Honestly, I chalk it up to the business of the sport. Like I said, a lot of, look, drug testing is expensive, first and foremost. Professional boxing ain't like other Olympic sports, okay? So because of that, you can't afford to test boxers. There's good fighters. My friend Anthony Fowler had a whole pro career, never been tested once in his life as a professional. And I believe he was a British and Commonwealth champion. Because they can't afford to test everybody. So what they do, rightly so, I guess, is test the top of the tree, because they're making the lion's share of the money. You know what I mean? That's the simple truth. They test the top of the tree because they're making the lion's share of the dough. And boxing being a fucking capitalism run amok that it is, when the bread gets thrown into a show, the 1% eat 90% of the food and 10% gets split among everyone else. So therefore, the 10% that are barely scraping by, it doesn't make sense to invest 30, 50 grand to test a cut that probably never even seen that much in a fight money in his life. It's the simple truth. It don't make sense. You know what I mean? Whereas you got another cunt over there making $1 million, $2 million in a fight, he can afford to splurge 30, 50 grand 3-4 times in the camp. And it financially makes sense to do so, knowing that his whole training setup can afford it. So there's simply simple economics. Nothing more, nothing less. It ain't because boxers is a sport that is trying to avoid testing or anything like that. It's simply pure economics. Drug testing costs 30 grand, 30 to 50 grand last I checked. Might be more now with inflation and whatever else. Do you know what I mean? So the drug lab can't simply afford to test everyone, especially not in a sport like this. So that's just the simple facts. I'd be very surprised that when the numbers that actually come out, if he ever does get produced, how many boxers have not been tested their whole career? Like, it just never made sense to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely. Okay, well, thank you very much. I'll leave with this final question, which I always like to ask. You've got a little bit of a platform here. Is there anything you'd like to shout out?
Definitely shout out to my sponsors, Always Fresh Empire. They've supported me from all the way to the ticket shows up until now. You know, they're a top premier shoe cleaning company. Definitely check them out. They, been on MTV. They work with a lot of, celebrities and footballers and a lot of social media personalities. So they're definitely great guys, and they've looked after me. Also, thanks to Amazing Loves for supporting me in my last fight. And anyone watching, tune in. I've got more fights coming. Hopefully I'll be out again before the end of the year. And I'll keep you posted.
Brilliant. All right. Well, thank you very much for doing this, Franklin. It's been a pleasure. And maybe a little bit further along down the line, we can come and have another catch-up.
Definitely. All right, my bro. Take it easy, man.